Now you can see where the body panel is slightly shiny. And it's also, I put a little bit of sanding on it. But I have not sanded the panel. What I did was I put on this Bulldog adhesion promoter. And the reason I did this, it's very simple science. It's that during the life of paint, the metal on a car, most of them are metal, expands and contracts with heat and cold. It gets a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. And what happens is the paint has got to be able, in the heat, to expand just a little bit with the paint, or it will, if it stays stationary, it will crack. Okay, and then after the panel cools down, the paint has to shrink a little bit. It has to be a little bit elastic. And this is the problem with fiberglass cars, such as the 65 Corvettes we used to work on in the shops. It's like my teacher said. He said, well, if fiberglass were so great, then how come more cars weren't made of it? And the problem with the fiberglass is the paint would chip out around the stress points areas due to the fact that the fiberglass would expand and contract at a different rate than the metal frame or the metal pieces, and your paint would crack around there. So what this Bulldog adhesive does, this is not lacquer based. I don't know what's in it, but what I believe it works on vinyl, metal, aluminum, fiberglass, and plastic and chrome, it says. Well, what it does is, I think it, like I said, it melts a little bit of the top part and makes it more pliable for the primer to fit on. Now I've sanded down a little of this, and I'm going to wait for it to get a little drier. And then what I'm going to do, and a lot of people will just paint the outsides, you have to be very careful with the edges right here. This is where it's going to chip off, here and underneath here. So I'll explain to you the few things that we have to do to get a good paint job. First thing what you have to do is, when you go to paint a panel like this, now think about it for a moment. Most of your corrosion and all your hard paint wear is going to be right down here. Okay, now if it gets down here and starts moving towards the lip right there, it'll rip that lip up on your top paint and you'll see it. So what we're going to do, and I've sprayed the whole back of this, as you can see, with the Bulldog right here. I'm going to spray the back of this panel with the filler primer. Okay, I'm going to paint the whole thing. And the reason I'm doing that is not to make it look good. It's not because I'm a perfectionist German, which I am. I have a lot of German in me. And American cars, American products drive me absolutely crazy sometimes because they're so cheap-ass, Mickey Mouse designed. And to me, if you're going to design something, make it a Porsche 931 twin turbo or whatever it is. Make it right or go home. So I'm going to spray the back with the filler primer, and I'm only going to do that so that I may even use the sealer primer on the back. Yeah, I think I'll use the sealer primer. I'm doing it so I can seal these edges for the front. And then when we go to paint, now this is another important thing. When we go to paint, especially something with all these edges and all these angles, this way and this way and this way and this way, remember, you have to get every angle. You can get a beautiful paint job done and come back and pull it out of the shop or the paint booth and look at it, and you find a few places you missed. And you're screwed. But it's because you haven't looked at all the angles, or maybe you're 5'10", and someone that's 6'3" is taller and they can see a different angle. So we'll paint the back of this black first, and we'll shoot black through here and here. Not very much, but just a little bit. Overspray will come in on the bottom through here. Give it a couple coats of black just to get it looking good. Then we'll come over around to the front, and any overspray that was shot through here or in here, I'll take a little bit of 1000 grit sandpaper and just get it a little smooth. And we'll shoot the black over the whole top, but this whole top will have multiple coats of the primer filler, because I still have a lot of work to do to make. Remember, like I said, black is the very hardest color to paint. First of all, you've got to be two things to be able to paint black. You've got to be totally crazy, because the minute you get done with that $400 project, there's going to be some punk ass kid on a Friday night that's going to come along and key it because he doesn't like that you got something better than he does. The second thing is you've got to be really, really good, because like I said, black will show up every one of your mistakes. When black is done right, it is the most beautiful, outstanding color there is, but it's high maintenance. It's like having one of these supermodel girlfriends. I mean, they look good, but damn, they cost a lot of money to keep around. So the next thing I'm going to do is primer seal the bottom. Let that dry, and then we'll use filler primer on the top and build that up. Maybe 3 or 4 heavy coats over a couple of days, and then I'll let the whole thing sit in a warm shop somewhere for a couple of weeks until I feel that all of the until it's completely dry, all of the primers and ethers and everything are all out of it. Now, if you really want to tell if your project is dry, pick the damn thing up and put it right by your nose and go. Smells bad. But if you can smell anything besides regular air, if you can smell any kind of chemicals, that means that your product on your panels is still drying, your paint is still shrinking into the panel. So you can block it and get it perfectly smooth right now, and 2 weeks from now you can come back and reblock it with your black lacquer blocking stuff, and you'll find that you've got some low spots. And these low spots, you won't notice them that much with your hands, like this. Okay, and you want to use it here and your fingertips and your palm right there when you go over it, nice and easy. Just pretend it's a 19-year-old Brazilian, really good-looking Miss Brazilian's chichis. And you can imagine if when you take that much effort working on a panel like that, and I'll tell you what, you'll really do a good job. No disrespect to Miss Brazil. Imagine she's really, really good looking. Okay, there's some more tips, and we go on.